This thing in Wisconsin was one of the most awful things I've ever seen in my life. Just go here, the extent that what they will go to hold on to power. And it was all about one Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin. They will kill people to stay in power, literally.
Joining me now is Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz and Chris Hahn, former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. All right, Congressman, that was James Carville. Everybody knows James. That was a lot of fear-mongering there. Is this a preview of how we're going to politicize this pandemic right up till Election Day?
In the most insincere of ways, because President Trump had a historic turnout on Election Day, and so there may be some voices trying to scare down and suppress the Election Day vote. What I can say for those who choose to vote by mail is that there's a low risk that their vote will be tampered with. So people who want to vote by mail should. But in states that expand their vote by mail, there is a belief that there will be an increased opportunity for fraud. MIT professors have done studies that show that vote by mail actually has the highest propensity of fraud when compared to in-person voting or early voting.
Well, here's what Attorney General Bill Barr told me about changing the way we vote. Watch.
It's not the right time to be experimenting with the way elections are conducted, that is, through mail-in and other kinds of techniques. I think that by November we're going to be dealing with a different set of circumstances, but I think we can adapt our election practices at the polls to accommodate public health concerns.
Chris, that sounds pretty reasonable. 6 feet distance, wear a mask to vote. I mean, why are people in the Democrat Party jumping ahead to the fall already and trying to lay down new markers about voting?
I get why Republicans don't want vote by mail. Their entire plan is to suppress the vote. And this is perfect for that plan, what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Scare people to think they might die at the polls. So vote by mail, which there's no evidence anywhere of mass fraud in Oregon, where they've done it since the 80s and 100 million people have voted. There's only 11 cases of any documented fraud at all and no mass fraud. But they want to say that and hope people believe it. Look, if you believe that we should have a country and have elections, you want to make sure people can vote even in a pandemic. So we've got to come up with something. And I find it rich. That Congressman Gaetz is talking about politicizing this after the stunt you pulled on the House floor with that gas mask. I hope you're going to lend that to your constituents.
Please, give me a break.
I
was making a point that we should be concerned about it as congressmen, because in Congress we go through the dirtiest airports and we interact with a lot of people. And by the way, I've been right. A lot of members of Congress have turned out to be positive. So give me a break. You can't ascribe my motives any more than anyone else could.
Nobody can hear this. Stop. Nobody can hear. This drives people crazy. It's fine to make a point, make an aggressive point, but try not to talk over each other. It drives me crazy and everybody else. All right, Congressman Gaetz, this is the concern, I think, is that people are afraid now. Right? A lot of people are afraid. They're afraid to go to the deli counter without wearing, I saw 2 people at the deli counter yesterday in actual gas masks. I mean, the real ones with the filters on the side. It was quite something. I was like, is the salami really that? No, but people are scared. Are they going to be so petrified going into the fall that they're not going to vote? And they're just going to say, I'm going to stay home? Or do we want to encourage people to still participate? You can vote by mail. And why are Republicans worried about that?
We aren't. As a matter of fact, Americans voted during the Civil War. I suspect we will be able to vote during coronavirus. And again, there is little to no risk to an actual voter who chooses to vote by mail. And so if you are a vote by mail voter and you're concerned about the integrity of your ballot, there's no need to be. But what Chris's point misses is that there are circumstances where in vote by mail states, groups go and create fictitious people or people who have died long ago.
No evidence.
They go and create registration for those folks. And then there's never a moment where a human being shows up to vote. And so the risk is the votes being counted for people who might not be legally in our country, who might not be alive, and who may have never been alive.
No evidence. None.
Well, hold on. What's amazing, though, throughout this whole process is that one governor can just decide, no, we're going to call off an election. We're not going to involve the state legislature. We're not going to call the legislature back into session so they can proclaim or pass a law about changing. One governor in Wisconsin tried to completely change a vote by executive fiat. And thank God that was struck down. Because that's the kind of stunts people are going to pull. And Chris Hahn, if a Republican governor pulled that, I know you wouldn't be in favor of it.
No, Laura. Mike DeWine, the Republican governor of Ohio, did exactly that, and he was right to do it. He moved the election to June, where it might be safer, because he's trying to take care of his constituents, just like the governor of Wisconsin did. But the Republicans wanted as few people as possible to vote in that election.
Well, he got slapped down by the Supreme Court.
So they could win their thing.
They were different scenarios, different processes, and it was struck down by the court. The court enjoined the governor from issuing an executive decree to change elections. We voted during world wars. We voted during the Civil War. We voted during major crises in America. The idea that you just can by executive fiat without the legislature being involved? Are you kidding me? And you guys call Trump an autocrat?
I'm all for there being a legislative involvement in these decisions. I agree with you partially on that. But that said, the Republican plan is to suppress the vote. They don't want people to vote because they can't win with ideas.
That's what James Carville was doing when he was saying that people are going to die if they show up and vote. That was voter suppression coming directly from, it wasn't Republicans saying don't show up and vote.
You shouldn't be talking about people dying because people in your district saw you making fun of this and took this less seriously.
You are such a joke. The fact that you can't substantively argue the point and you have to pretend to ascribe voters to me is a testament to the fact that you don't have the intellectual ability to have an actual debate.
We've got to flatten the curve. Getting too personal. Guys, getting too personal. All right, we're going to go.